Hello and welcome. My name is Steve, and I am here to talk about the IEP process and you as it relates to the IDEA Act and public schools. I realize that having a child with a disability is a daunting experience, especially if this is your first child with a disability. So, to help you through that, we have created a brochure that I will talk you through and to help you understand a little bit more about what to expect. First off, welcome to the team. We say it like this because having a child with disabilities might not be anything to be ashamed of, but it does take work. And not just one person can do all the work that needs to be done. This is a team effort. And as part of that team, you as the parent are actually the second most important part aside from the student themselves. No decision will be made and no action will be taken without your expressed written consent saying that you agree with the plan and you're okay with everything that will happen. During the process, the school is going to be doing a lot of work. We're going to be assessing and initiating and enacting modifications, accommodations, and everything. All of this stuff is based on the practices that we have seen have worked well in the past. But that does not happen without you. And there's two sides to that. That you as the parent have final say on what happens to your child first and foremost, but also that we cannot hope to see the best results if the child goes home and does not have the same expectations at home as they have in school. That creates a confusion for the child, and nothing really gets accomplished as good as it could. So, the basis of IEPs and IDEA, with the IDEA is the Individual Disabilities and Education Act, and IEP is your Individualized Education Plan. We're going to be using those acronyms quite a bit. The basis is that per federal law, every child between 5 and 18, every child between 5 and 21 is to be afforded a free public education up to the high school level. Now, just because every child has the opportunity doesn't mean that every child has the same ability to succeed. That's where the least restrictive environment comes in. By having the least restrictive environment, any accommodations and modifications that need to be made for the curriculum or for the way it's presented or anything is to be made so that all kids can receive the information. It's what we call universal design for learning, in which the easiest way to think about this would be if you have two kids that want to see a baseball game. One's tall and can see over the fence. The other one's short and can't see over the fence. So you could either get an accommodation would be getting the shorter kid a step stool to stand on, or a modification would be to change the fence to be a chain link fence and they can both see through it. So that's what we try and do, is to make sure that all students are able to see the baseball game. In the beginning, we'll start with the referral process. That's where you as the parent or another teacher or staff member or a doctor notices that there's a problem. And with that, a referral can be put up and say, hey, I noticed this. I want to get the kid checked out for this. All right. So that could happen as a developmental issue and also, as a long-term developmental, or it could even be a result of a quicker, more traumatic incident that just recently happened and maybe has some lasting repercussions. So the referral will go through, and then we'll go to the evaluation process. That's where the student will undertake a few tests to figure out comprehension, cognitive ability, reading ability, and eyesight, hearing, all kinds of tests to make sure of where is the problem occurring or presenting a disability. So with that disability understood, we can then determine what kind of interventions are available and what the student is eligible to make use of. After the eligibility determination begins the almighty IEP process. This will have many meetings coming up and actions based on those meetings. The first meeting, you can expect that we're going to talk about the current level with the student and what the disability is causing a problem in. We're going to discuss goals and establish interventions and services and aids and all that to start to help the student. But also, we need your help. This is why we welcome you to the team at the very beginning, is because you as the parent have the final say-so. No actions will get done whatsoever without your approval. So not only is your help requested, it's practically required. Also, the student needs to be involved. Not necessarily in the initial meetings, but throughout the process. The whole process is revolving around the student, and if the student doesn't want to do any work to improve on the disability, then there's nothing that can be done. However, to think that all is going to go well, we were going to have quarterly progress monitoring, where at the end of every academic quarter, we will have another meeting, and we're going to gauge the effectiveness of any interventions that have been used. We'll also, if it's not getting the effectiveness and the progress that we want, we'll look at moving to another type of intervention or another type of therapy to help out the student. At the end of the school year, though, we'll take all those quarterly progress meetings and all our other communications, and we're going to review the year in as a whole. At that point, if we need to do additional support for the next school year, we're going to have the whole summer to prepare for it, so that your student will be able to just come in the fall and work right into what we have set up based on your approval. Now, some standard policies of the IDEA Act, and also just procedures and policies that the school has. The confidentiality and knowledge of your student's disability will be strictly on a need to know. Even the general education teachers who are not part of this process will be notified as far as what modification the child has, but will not be given any medical information or much of any background more than what's needed to make it work in the classroom. It will not be shared with other students. It will not be shared with other parents. As far as state reporting goes, your child is only a number and will have no name. The state doesn't even need to know your child's name and disability. A school policy is that 3 is not a crowd. So I know this kind of sounds a little opposite of the confidentiality, but it's also in a way of for youth protection and protection of staff members as well, that a minimum of 3 people will always be in a meeting together for this. If it's a student and a teacher, there will be another teacher there observing. there will be an administrator or someone. With you as a parent and a student, there will be, of course, you would be meeting with a staff member as it is anyways. So we always go with 3 is not a crowd. We're going to follow all state regulations and guidelines from the Colorado Department of Education as they change. And we're going to document everything constantly. This helps out to ensure that we are in keeping with policies and procedures, but also so we have a written history that we can go back on to check out, say we 3 years down the road, we're going to try an intervention that we're not sure on. Well, we can look in the history and see if we have already tried that or not. And if that, how successful was that? And finally, the wonderful part of documentation is the prior written notice that for everything that's going to happen, meetings, change requests, decisions, interventions, you're going to receive a notification, and we're going to actually need your approval before any action is taken on that, on whatever item it is. So even the setting of a meeting, we want you there. So we want to work that within your schedule. We'll need your approval to figure out when and where to do it. Further research that you can go ahead and do as far as looking up the basis, there's the American Civil Liberties Union, the ACLU, protecting the rights of education. You have the Colorado Department of Education website. You have the Center for Parents Information and Resources, the CPIR, and also understandingspecialeducation.com, as well as many, many others on various websites that you could probably find and look up. So thank you very much for your time, and I hope this video helps.